Well, Tim, 2022 has already thrown us a lot of curveballs with the dry weather we've seen. And to couple that, you look back at last fall, we had a lot of fertilizer put on in the fall that maybe we wouldn't be able to get done in a typical year. And I think that begs the question that maybe we should kind of revisit what is the status of that nitrogen today after these dry conditions. I'm Sindelar, and I'm the lead agronomist with Central Valley Ag, and today I'm here with Tim Mundorf, the Director of Soil Management. And today we're going to talk about just nitrogen management and what we need to be thinking about as we're coming out of a dry year. So Tim, as we kind of get into this, like I said, dry year, a lot of anhydrous ammonia put on last fall, depending on because of we had the late fall, didn't have that freeze come in to, kind of the prices, guys kind of got ahead of those price hikes. What does a guy need to kind of be thinking about at put so much nitrogen on last fall? Should they be concerned about the status of it today?
I'd say you got a couple of good things going on, Aaron. Number one, you locked into that nitrogen probably before the Ukraine conflict got going and prices skyrocketed once again. And you've got a fairly dry winter, dry fall, dry spring. We'd like some more moisture to help us out with our profile, but the nice thing about the nitrogen is when you get a lot of water and you've got something fall applied, you got a lot more opportunity for loss. With the dryness we've had, I would say guys can probably take advantage of most of the nitrogen they've put down. We probably haven't had much leaching loss, and we probably haven't had much denitrification.
Yeah, so you're really thinking that, just because of the winter and spring so far we've had, that, typically that grower is going to have a lot more nitrogen there than what they would in a typical year. So we've got some positives there, obviously. But since it's been dry, we know that that conversion of anhydrous ammonia to ultimately nitrate, we need moisture to be able to complete that conversion. So what's kind of the drawbacks of having such a dry soil in that anhydrous application last fall?
For the most part, I'm not overly worried about it. That's going to happen when we've got the moisture and the biology for the crop to grow. The anhydrous is going, or the ammonia is going to convert over to nitrate. So not too worried about that. But there certainly is some concern as you plant into that anhydrous band. If you still got a lot of ammonia there, you can get what we call ammonia burn. And especially for guys that are putting their ammonia on this spring, where it's definitely going to be ammonia still and not converted to nitrate by the time they plant. With it being as dry as it is, you're going to want to be careful to not plant directly over that anhydrous band. I think that's the big thing for guys to pay attention to. If you can see where that band is, with our guidance systems now, just offset yourself a little bit or try to run at a little bit of an angle to where you applied that anhydrous so you don't just end up with a row right over an anhydrous band. That's what can really get you.
So physically talking, how does a band of, say, liquid UAN in the soil compared to a band of anhydrous ammonia?
So UAN is going to be urea ammonium nitrate. It's really not an issue with a lot of root burn. I mean, there is a salt effect. That's why we don't want it directly with the seed. But as long as you don't directly plant a seed into that, you don't have as much of an issue. What you get with true anhydrous ammonia and its conversion to ammonia is you've got full ammonia in that entire little spear or cylinder, as you've applied that down there. And as those roots grow into it, it can really smoke some of those roots and you get some damaged plants.
So, you talked about maybe going diagonal to the rows. I think another thing too is, think back just the last few years, we're seeing a lot more of these high-speed toolbars coming out. And, and kind of a byproduct of that is that's kind of we're starting to see some conditions where that's shallowing up.
Yep, that's right.
Where that anhydrous ammonia is being injected. So that's something to kind of consider too, is that maybe you need to put on some spring anhydrous yet. I know it's getting a little bit late, but if you're in that situation, be thinking about speed in the back of your mind where, again, that you're artificially, or not artificially, but you're inadvertently moving that band of anhydrous ammonia and moving it closer to that seed zone. So, we're in a day where there's a lot of things in the field that can happen that can cause, plant die-off or stunting. Could be disease, could be anhydrous ammonia burn. What should if that grower is inclined to go dig up some seedlings and is kind of looking for it, what should that grower be looking for? What are kind of the key indicators of anhydrous ammonia burn?
Generally, I'm looking for a little bit of root burn. I'm also looking for a browning plant. I mean, oftentimes you don't even see it until you see the physical symptoms in the plant, and then that tells you to go in there, dig the plant up, and look for some real bottle brushed off type root where it's really looks like it's burnt the root off, because that's frankly kind of what's happening. happen.
Yeah, on that fertilizer burn, you're more looking at the root tips, the root hairs kind of area, whereas when it comes to a seedling disease, that's more going to be kind of that coleoptile, mesocotyl area within that seedling. So kind of going to be different areas of damage. That's going to distinguish the two.
Yeah, if going up is good and white and turning to green, then you probably don't have an issue with the disease as much. If it's more the roots that are going down, then it's more of an issue with burn. Another thing to think about is we really should talk about the positive. I mean, we've saved nitrogen that we typically would lose in an average year. As the grower looks, you know, maybe he's not a complete upfront nitrogen, which we like to see split application, but as you come back to do your second application, you might want to consider you probably could get by with a little less. We've got some tools that a grower might look at as a way to kind of gauge how much nitrogen have I lost, because it doesn't look like I've lost the average amount.
Yeah, we talk about protecting your investment. You know, when it comes to nitrogen, I think this year, obviously with nitrogen prices over $1 per pound, I think that kind of term holds true more than ever this year. And you're right, I think, you know, if you're still looking at your nitrogen application, even with your side dress applications, I think really thinking about a stabilizer addition, you know, trying to protect that investment. You know, we talked about the loss through leaching and so on already, protecting that investment there. But again, that nitrogen status, this is a year where, since we don't have that loss that we might typically see in the spring because of the dry conditions, you're right, maybe we don't need that, you know, that last fertigation pass that, you know, maybe in the past you've already kind of been on the fence. And I think that's where tools like what we have, that Adapt-N product, where nitrogen modeling product does a great job at kind of identifying your nitrogen status. Do you have a deficit? Do you have a surplus? I think leveraging a tool like that for a few dollars an acre is something that can definitely help you decide, can I cut out that last pass? You know, a $5 per acre tool for kind of helping you making that decision compared to just making that blanket $25 to $30 application come later in the summer. So
it's a balancing act. We've got $7 corn out there. We don't want to short that and leave bushels on the table, but in the same respect, we've probably had a low year for nitrogen loss. Let's don't put on more nitrogen than we need. We've got technology, whether that's an Adapt-N, whether that's a stabilizer for the nitrogen you've still got to put on, whether that's maybe a pre-side dress nitrate test to look to see how much nitrogen's out there at about V4 to V6 in that corn plant. Let's put a little more thought into it, use our investment wisely, but make sure we don't short the crop.
Yeah, that's a great call out, because, you know, we kind of have that habit of, well, I think it needs more. Maybe it only needs 20 more pounds, but I'm going to put another 40 or 50 pounds on. I think this is a year where you're right. We've got the technologies. We can utilize them. We can kind of help give us a better snapshot of what's going on in that field instead of trying to be going in blind. And again, build yourself up for more profitability. You're not hurting yield, but making yourself more profitable by reducing those input costs.
Yeah, I agree.
So as we're kind of going into this spring in this season, Tim, any other final parting thoughts on managing your nitrogen?
No, frankly, it's a great time in agriculture. We've got some great grain prices out there. We've got a good season kind of set up for us. We are a little dry. Obviously, we're going to need a little bit of rain. Don't get in too big of a hurry. Take things a little slow. Make sure you do it right. Let's capitalize on these grain prices, produce some great yields. Be safe.
Yeah, stakes are high this year, you know, with a lot of opportunity with where corn prices are today, but also the nitrogen prices are there too. So opportunity for success is there, but failure comes with a cost too. So again, these technologies can really kind of help drive kind of that final push. And talking to your field sales agronomist is going to be your best opportunity to figure out what's best for you and kind of help you learn a little bit more about these, you know, these technologies, whether it is a stabilizer or an Adapt-N. So reach out to your field sales agronomist if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about them. So today, I'm Aaron Sindelar, the lead agronomist with Central Valley Ag, and I am here with Tim Mundorf, Director of Soil Management, and you've been watching Agronomy Focus.